was there a certain point, or like, I guess maybe a certain number of clients that you had where you wanted to decide to bring in employees then instead of just having it be the two of you guys? Or was it just, we just didn't have enough time to do the work, or somebody that we could bring in would do it better?
Yeah, it was really based on the amount of work we had. You know, and we're still growing as a company and learning about business in general. But, you know, some people will say it takes this much revenue to bring in a employee.
Right.
And that generally is a good practice to follow. And we try and do that as well. For us, it was bandwidth, you know, having the background of being very scrappy in the way that we worked. We were able to do a lot, just the two of us, before we brought anybody on. But, you know, as we were growing, we knew that we would plateau if we couldn't devote more of our time to finding new business.
Gotcha.
So we wanted to invest in other people to help us do the work that we were currently doing, so we could go out and find more companies to work with and keep growing our agency.
Right. Right. Was it hard to bring in employees and try to, I've experienced it where you kind of try to shape the employee into how you used to do it, but they're their own individual where they have their own practices and want to do their own thing. Was it hard bringing somebody in?
Not necessarily hard bringing them in, but, you know, you have to be humble in the way that you approach working or mentoring with somebody. You know, like I personally have learned a system or process in the agencies that I've worked at, but that might not always work for someone else.
Right.
And, you know, they might have a skill set that we lack, and we have to understand that and kind of position them or support them to help them grow and support us.
Right.
So, you know, there are some general principles and process that we kind of instill, but then we want to give them flexibility to do things their way and manage things their way. And I think they appreciate that, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, ultimately we'll see if it works.
Keep it growing. Yeah. I love it. Since that wasn't like really a struggle with onboarding new employees and stuff, have you had any like major roadblocks in starting the business in the first couple of years?
You know, honestly, not too much.
Was finding this building a roadblock, or it was tough?
It wasn't a roadblock. It was I would say a hurdle.
Okay.
That we just had to do, right? Like we knew that we had to keep growing. We knew if we had employees, it'd be best if we all had a space to kind of work within. There are some agencies out there that are solely remote, do things, you know, via Google Meet or Zoom or something. And we do some of that too. And I mentioned, you know, we have a hybrid work environment, so our employees can work here, also work at home. But really, in our industry, creativity can come from anywhere. But when you're together and collaborating on something, you can get things done much faster. There's just more discussion around certain things, so there's less, you know, cracks to jump over or fill in conversations. So we appreciate having a place where we can all come together and work on products together. And ultimately, I think that delivers a stronger deliverable for our clients.
Right. Has, through the growth of the company and getting this building, was there role changes with you and your partner as you started to delegate out tasks and whatnot?
Not necessarily. You know, we both kind of are doing much of the same we were when we brought on employees. I guess now there's just more of like the business end of things, like who's managing, you know, the financial stuff, or who's managing the operations stuff, HR. So there's a little bit of that gets dispersed, but generally we're still in the same phase.